Hey guys, take a minute with the video for you guys. In today's video, we want to talk about the iPhone SE third generation or the 2022 model and using it in 2023, if it's worth it to buy it, if you're considering buying it, and all the good things and bad things that you need to know if you're considering this device or currently using it. Now, the iPhone SE third generation here surprisingly now made itself available for you. You can actually purchase it on the website, on Apple's website. They do have this available for you, and one of the cheapest model iPhone out there on the market right now directly from Apple. The iPhone SE third generation here, as we've seen here, is very similar to the second generation. In fact, if you were to compare it side by side, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Now, don't let the size kind of fool you. This is a 4.7-inch LCD display. You have the Touch ID here, but it does have quite the power here. Now, talking about the phone itself here, a couple specs that you want to know here. Now, we mentioned that it was released back in March of 2022, so it's been a little over a year and a half since it's been out, and this phone right now has the A15 Bionic chip, which if you compare it, that chip is similar to what the iPhone 13 Pro Max has, but the only limiting factor is the the RAM that it has. So this one only has 4 gigs of RAM versus the 13 Pro Max, which has, I believe, 6 gigs of RAM. Again, in terms of performance wise, still that A15 Bionic chip does deliver a lot of power. Now, the base model of the iPhone SE here comes with 64 gig for the price of $429. Now, if you did want it to go upgrade to the 128 gig, you're paying $479. And then, of course, the max storage you can get is 256 gig, which will give you for $579. Now, that's the most you can get. And 256 for some people might be the sweet spot. Others might complain that that is a low storage considering that the new iPhone 14 Pro Max and the 13 Pro Max, you can get it in the 1 terabyte one. Now, that's going to be solely up to you, but if you're using so much storage, you might as well consider something like the iCloud storage itself here. Now, the battery size on this one, surprisingly, it's a decent sized battery for the phone itself. About 15 hours of video playback when, of course, your battery is at 100%. Over time, over usage, it might get lower, but there's some tips you can follow in order to keep your battery 100%, which will leave a link in the video description section if you guys want to check that out as well. Now, you may be considering with the iPhone SE here, how does the camera hold up? But as you can see here, it's a single camera here. You're not getting too much. It's a 12 megapixel camera on the back and then 7 megapixel camera on the front. So surprisingly, even with this single 12 megapixel camera, you can take some really good pictures that we've seen here. Even when it comes to video recording, you can actually record in 4K up to 60 frames per second, and you get some really nice quality, of course, shots on it, either photo or video. And that's kind of what you get with most iPhones nowadays, is that camera quality is pretty superior for its phone. Now, this phone does have 5G ready, so you do upgrade it to the 5G version of it, and it does support wireless charging as well for you. Now, the software version of it right now, you have, of course, it started with iOS 15 as the original software of it. Now you can upgrade to iOS 16, which is available for this device, and like most iPhones, they're generally supported for 5 years or so. Expect this iPhone to get at least another 4 years out of it. So if you really think about it, probably going to go up to iOS 20 if Apple continues the same cycle, or around 2027 in terms of actual major software update that it will get. So kind of our verdict on this phone: is the iPhone SE third generation worth it or not? So couple things we're going to limit it to this one is, first point is the price point. It's similar to the price point as the second generation, slightly a little bit higher, which again, for a phone that looks very much similar to the second generation and the iPhone 8 itself, instead of is the design here. Now, design, some people like it, some people don't. It's a mixed review. If you like the Touch ID, which some people prefer, versus the Face ID, and you actually prefer that home button, this is where the iPhone third generation, for people who are pretty much attached with that, really like that idea and that LCD, again, away from that OLED, depending on the display. If you have issues with, OLED display, you might consider the LCD version of it. So that's going to be one thing to note. Of course, the other thing to note here, again, battery size, as you mentioned, it's a good battery size, but not as great as if you're looking at iPhone 14 Pro or even a 13 Pro, which gives you over close to a day's worth of battery life. So battery life, 15 hours Again, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on how much of a user you are. Now, the other thing to mention about the iPhone SE here, third generation, again, it brings in a lot of power, but again, the display just seems to be smaller. And that could be something you like or you don't. Again, a personal preference. I like it to be a little bit bigger, like the plus sizes. But again, if you're a person that likes small, compact phone and that slick design, as you can see here, the iPhone, again, third generation might be for you. Again, considering that you're not losing out on performance and power that this does bring in. Now, if you're using it for, of course, everyday use, from like simple calling and texting, that's easily done on this phone. Even when it comes to browsing, you'll see here the speed that it brings on if you're on a decent Wi-Fi or cellular data. And when it comes to your daily, even streaming, watching music, watching favorite YouTube channel like this one here, you'll see here you're not going to be missing out on much. And even when it comes to your entertainment and social media, of course, you'll see here most of the apps here we have downloaded, the popular ones. You'll see once you just launch it, it'll open up for you without any issues, and that's because of that nice A15 bionic chip that this phone is equipped with. So our final conclusion is the iPhone SE third generation worth it in 2023. Definitely, if you're looking for one of their cheaper end phone that you can get from Apple, or you don't mind the limitation in terms of the storage, some of the battery life limitation, but overall, good pick for your phone if you want to consider this one because of the Touch ID, and it's going to last you a good at least 4 to 5 years without any issues. So that's kind of our review of it. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and if so, please make the like and subscribe button. And we also want to hear from you guys. What's your thought on the iPhone SE third generation? Are you using it? Have you used it? How has it treated you? Leave a comment in the comment section to share with everyone. So thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.